So I saw Hamlet at Center Theater Group in LA, and I wasn't gonna do a review on this show, but I have such strong feelings about it that I have to talk about it, and I'm gonna use this video to talk about it. So, a few disclaimers. First, I don't really like talking poorly about theater, especially in LA, because I am an actor and I would love to work at Center Theater Group one day. So I just have to be careful with the words that I use. I also know people that are working on this production, so I really am trying to approach this from a respectful and nice as I can be point of view. I went into the show blind. So Robert O'Hara is the director of this show, and he is a director who is known for pushing the boundaries, turning things on their head. He likes to do work that is different. He likes to stand out, and I respect that, man. I respect a director who makes bold choices and different things, and especially Hamlet is a play that is done very often and is a show that is done very similarly throughout when it's directed. But so he really went for it. He really went out there and really tried to do something different with the show. The issue that I have with it is that it really, the version that he did is he just really didn't serve the text. He did an extreme disservice to the text. The show really didn't make sense. It was hard to follow, even for me. I've seen Hamlet 5 or 6 times, and I was having a hard time following the story. The show was very hard to follow because he was skipping over very, very important scenes that later he went back to, but he went back to an English modern version of the scenes because he decided to do this Detective Fortinbras thing at the end. And so he visited the scenes that he had skipped over throughout the show, but at that point, people didn't even want to stay for the show. People were literally walking out. I would have walked out. I have only ever walked out of one show in my entire life, and it was years ago. And if I wasn't with somebody, I would have walked out of this show because of how bad it was. It was not good. The show is not good. I don't understand how it got greenlit. The show is so hard to follow. I feel bad for people who have never seen Shakespeare before or who have never seen Hamlet before, and this was their first experience, because this show was not an easy show to follow. I don't really get who the show was for. I think it was mostly for theater goers that know Hamlet. But even then, it just doesn't. I don't understand how a theater that has so much funding and has so much support and is so renowned put this on stage in front of people and made them pay for it. It blows my mind. But I'm trying not to attack this show. I just have a lot of issues with the artistic choices for this show. I don't know how much Shakespeare experience he has, because even in this adaptation, there were certain monologues and things that were just so skipped over that were such important plot points and so important for the audience to hear so that they could follow the story. There were so many things that were just skipped over. And you can do modern versions of Shakespeare, it's done all the time like that, but you have to still have a through line and have the audience be able to follow this version of Hamlet, right? And the person that I was with had never seen Hamlet before. They had no idea what they just saw. So after the show got out, I was honestly, we just looked at each other, and I was honestly, if I was by myself, I would have walked out. And she literally was I wanted to walk out. So and people were walking out. People left the theater, and it wasn't because it wasn't because people were mad or whatever. The show was just so bad. It was. Oh God. Okay, what are the things that I wrote? So the show starts off with Hamlet and Ophelia, um, like basically about to have intercourse on stage. he's fingering her on stage, and she like takes off her panties and like throws them at him, and he like smells them. And then like throughout the show, well, okay, so that's how the show starts, and it's like, okay, this is weird. Like, we're supposed to care about Hamlet and Ophelia and their relationship, because later when Hamlet shuns Ophelia, like, or like, has the whole like get thee to a nunnery, like we're supposed to care for Ophelia, but they ended up cutting like another Ophelia Hamlet scene, and like we just didn't care. We didn't care for any of the characters, and which is another issue with this show, is like by the end of the, like, you didn't care for anybody, like literally anyone, like, so. And then throughout the show, so then Horatio's first entrance, Horatio and Hamlet kiss, like immediately, like it's like a big passionate kiss, and it's like, that is when I was like, okay, like what? And then like you kind of like at the end, like Horatio is like, you find out that he like loved Hamlet, and like, and I get that, like that is something that people and scholars talk about all the time, like Horatio and Hamlet, like was there a secret like chemistry there or whatever, like I get it, like I get what you're trying to do, but it's like we didn't care at all, like we just don't care, so like at the end of the play, like the pacing was abysmal, like the pacing was like the show just dragged on. People were on their phones, like I was literally like, what time is it, like when is this thing gonna be done, like the show just kept going and kept going and kept going, and I was literally just like, I was like, I could not wait for it to be done. I was like, what a waste of my time. So yeah, so basically like they cut out a bunch of important scenes, and then later when they didn't even show like any of the fights. They didn't show any of that. They were like time jumping, like, and they would go back to the scenes later, but then they would do them in this modern adaptation like text. This show should not be promoted as Hamlet. It says there will be blood. There was no blood. There was no fighting at all. There was no swords. There was no combat. There was no stage combat. The little stage combat that did exist was not great, and like this should not be promoted as Hamlet, because it's not Hamlet. It's like this weird adaptation like of this show, like, and it's just not great. Yeah, it was just so disconnected. You didn't really care about anybody. Hamlet, Gertrude, Horatio, like no one had emotional weight. There was no, like, in all the soliloquies that Hamlet had, he was never, it never felt like he was actually talking to the audience. It never felt that he was actually like going through something, or like trying to figure out like what his best course of action was. Like there was none of that. There was none of that. And that is sort of why I was like, I don't know how much experience this director has with Shakespeare, but like there was such important moments that were just like completely skated over, that moments that like would have made me maybe care for the characters a little bit more. Like what else? Yeah, like I mean, the person that I was with, like she had never seen really a lot of she's only seen 2 Shakespeare shows before. This was her second time seeing Shakespeare, and like she even was like, yeah, I never want to see this again. Like this was awful. This was terrible. And that breaks my heart, because Hamlet is a great piece of work, and they just butchered it, man. They just butchered it. And I'm sitting in this beautiful theater, and the set was beautiful. The set and the sound, and the costumes were good too. Like the design elements were good, but man, the direction just fell flat. What else? Yeah, man, the show didn't just like miss. It just like, I wouldn't like I just feel bad for the people that this was like their first time seeing Shakespeare, because it wasn't even Shakespeare. Like it was probably like half Shakespearean text, and then half modern language that are scenes that he wrote, and they were so bad. Like the guys behind me were like actively cackling at some of the choices that were, or some of like just the text that was being used. And like the reason I feel like I can talk very candidly about the show is because I know that I know that I wasn't the only one that felt this way. Like I was looking around, and people were just like confused, shocked. Like there was so much like there were like 3 or 4 times during the show that Hamlet was like trying to get people to suck his thing, like his appendage, his dick. Like and I understand that there's a lot of sexual innuendos in Shakespeare, but like it just didn't make sense. Like I just feel like he was just trying to get a reaction out of the audience, but I don't know. Like even it just, bro, I don't know, man. At the end of the day, like this was not Hamlet. It was like a weird adaptation using Hamlet as a skeleton and then just like sort of forgetting to put the flesh on the bones. I genuinely feel bad for the actors that have to do this every night because they have to know they have to know what this is. And I think the director's probably so set on the vision that there's probably no, you just kind of have to make it work. And it's definitely a challenge for the actors on stage, I'm sure. But the whole thing felt like a disconnected show that had no emotional depth, and you didn't care for anybody. And that's why, like, dude, like Horatio was like crying at the end, and it's like, dude, like, when is this show gonna be done? Like, because they basically like, and Ophelia like didn't die. They like faked her death, which is like, I don't know. It's like I get, and then like. So basically, at the end of the show, like the detective is going through the people that are like remaining. Again, they didn't do the last fight at all. They just jumped to like, yeah, Hamlet's dead and everyone's dead. Like, who's still alive? And so the detective is gonna like interrogate them, and which is like a cool idea. But at that point, everyone was ready to be done. It was a 2-hour show with no intermission, which is bold. And I think the reason is probably because they didn't want people to leave at intermission. And like, so basically they have everyone that's still alive. Ophelia's somehow alive even though she's dead in the actual play. And then they had like the gravedigger and like the servant. And then basically we were going back in time and seeing things from their point of view. And that like it would be like one by one, and the detective was like interrogating them, and then we were seeing the scenes that were skipped in a modern version. And then like they randomly, like, all the characters were doing cocaine at one point, and it's just like, and it just like dragged, dude. And I did see a preview, I'll say, and I'm sure a note that they got was that the pacing was off. But dude, the show was so slow, and it just felt like I was just being like killed slowly with like bad theater. Damn, I'm being really harsh, but it's easily the worst. It's definitely the worst Shakespeare show that I've ever seen. Top 3 worst shows I've ever seen. It felt like a high school production with like the budget of like a professional theater. Shakespeare has to be rolling around in his grave. He has to be. I would be. If you've ever seen a show that made, like, I really couldn't sleep the night because of how mad I was, how butchered this play was. If you've ever seen a show that made you really mad, and let me know in the comments. I would love to hear what that show was. That is all I have for this. This is a very different video, but if you want to see more content like this about theater reviews, movie reviews, and behind the scenes life of an actor in LA, hit the like and subscribe button. Also, feel free to sign up for my email list as well. I do bi-weekly updates on what I am doing and things that are going on in my life. And until then, I will see you in the next video. Peace.